Greetings, YouTube. You know, this is the kind of video that I realize off the top makes some people annoyed because they see the title, they see the general message, and they think, oh, it's the community whining that they don't get enough free stuff. Why don't they just shut up and be thankful the game exists? And so off the top, for the haters out there that are inevitably going to comment that we're being too whiny or too greedy, just know that I am not asking for anything in terms of a Summoner Appreciation Month that had not existed for years when I first started playing this game. It's not like I'm inventing some new way to get compensation. It's simply trying to get the nature of the game and the nature of the company that creates the game to return to the cultural climate of where it started for the first few years before it just kind of mysteriously went south and disappeared. I am hoping, after I recap the many points in front of me on my handy dandy notepad, that you can understand in the past year why this could be the most important time we have seen for a Summoner Appreciation Month in the history of the game, and that is not supposed to be overly dramatic or hyperbolic. It is simply how I feel when we recount the past year and even the past 6 months of where the game has progressed. I will say, objectively, let's talk about some positives in the past year first, since the last Summoner Appreciation Month. Well, Gwenpool at the Movies was the best unofficial, I think that was an attempt at a word. It's the best unofficial compensation for any kind of Appreciation Month ever, because Gwenpool at the Movies was all about great rewards for exceptionally easy difficulty. It was auto-fighting your way to a chance for a featured 5-star crystal, and it got the community hyped up again for the game, even though Kabam will never admit that that was any form of compensation for what was last year the insane overheating issue that literally fried some phones and iPads. It still was needed and greeted, except for the tools who said, oh my gosh, it was too easy, I need to be more challenged. And then those same tools met what was called the maze, and suddenly you didn't hear from them again, because that stuff was the opposite of Gwenpool at the Movies. It was 0 rewards for insane difficulty. But after that, we saw a glimmer of hope again on Christmas Day, when those who especially were uncollected and above got to enjoy a 5-star Awakening Gem courtesy of Kabam. Those kinds of things go a long way towards making players feel appreciated. But then, ever since January, the game has gone in some really negative directions. The biggest, off the top, gotta say it, was the removal of gifting. Now, while I realize that this was exploited and taken advantage of by some summoners, you ruined it for everybody else that was using it for its intended effect. Can you imagine downloading this game now and struggling, and you're in an alliance, and you're told, hey, a couple months ago, I could have sent you some items to help you, but not anymore. Like, I would feel so cheated and so confused and so angry, because summoners now, it's like the post-gifting world. They don't understand what it was like to get help from your friends. And that actually saved so many of my friends. I actually didn't get gifted much, but I did gift quite a bit, because I had some units and some resources, and I'm a big arena grinder, and I just knew that some of my friends who had given me great tips and helped me progress in the game needed my help. And so now, of course, you can't do that. So gifting being taken away is a huge anti-player movement that has really restricted some people's enjoyment of the game. But besides that, for months now, since before April, but especially with the historic April bugs, the game has not been working as intended. And even though Kabam is trying to tell us that in the new patch for next month, they're going to fix quite a few of these bugs, several huge bugs have rolled over in previous months. It's not like these things have just popped up. They have continued to be there without being addressed, especially the lag. The lag is so bad for so many players, regardless of what device you play on. I now anticipate getting lag in Alliance Quest, Alliance War, and certainly the Arena. But the last time I got lag in Alliance Quest, it was so bad that the screen was frozen for at least 20 seconds. And of course, the timer doesn't freeze for those 20 seconds. It still runs. So by the time the game catches up to the lag, you've lost 20 seconds of time to complete the fight. But what was worse, I was just trying to dash back the entire 20 seconds. I was having my left thumb just continue to dash back, nothing, right? And then by the time the game caught up to the lag, I was wrecked. I was knocked out. I had no idea what happened. We also saw in the last couple of days when I posted about the summoner, and this has apparently been happening to quite a few people the last several months. It was just the first time it had been sent to me. You fought the final boss of Kingpin in Alliance Quest, got him down, received 0 points for knocking out Kingpin, and then it reset the fight and cost the summoner half of his health with no points gained. And that happened several times to the Alliance in the same fight. That kind of thing is inexcusable. So Kabam has ignored several bugs, and then the few that they have actually addressed, like say the nameless Thanos bug, it was met with such a pathetic amount of compensation that it was almost a slap in the face to people who actually attempted that much harder fight, even though of course it's still hard now. But yeah, it's just been a culture of silence, and nothing could be more of an example of that than the horror stories I hear from people all the time in the Kabam forums, who they will send me. I mean, I'm a journalism professor. I look at syntax. I try to consider myself a family-friendly channel, so I would like to think that I know what an offensive message looks like. One that's harsh, one that's overly critical, one that maybe uses profanity or hate speech, etc. One that doesn't have a place on a forum. And so I'll look at some of these messages and I'll say, oh yeah, that looks good, you should post it. And then it will automatically be silenced, even if it was a respectful message that simply brought up a concern in the game, which is the point of the forums. Kabam has made the atmosphere so toxic on the forums that if you don't post something positive about the game, if it's not just a public relations wing of the company, you get silenced. And now more than ever, I'm seeing people who say, hey, I haven't been silenced on the forums directly. I haven't been banned. I can still post. But then when I ask my alliance mates, hey, can you check out my post? It will be invisible because Kabam is actually now making people's posts invisible and not telling them that. So the only way that they will find that out is the hard way, if their alliance mates tell them that they can't see what they posted. It is a terrible culture of transparency, which is a word that Kabam promised to be better with and hasn't. On top of that, we now know the ramifications of a ever-increasing difficulty of Alliance Quest, because Alliance War is so outdated in terms of a buff of rewards that the increase in difficulty, keep in mind, I talked about how as great as Cavalier Crystals are, right? As great as these things are for drop rates, you get so many more 5 stars and even a chance at 6 stars than ever before. That means that it's much easier for people to obtain better defenders for Alliance War. So suddenly, your path, it's going to get harder. But the rewards haven't changed. You're just having to spend more to revive or potion up or boost up. And certainly, the potions and the revives haven't changed. They're still pathetic in terms of being scaled for 3 and 4 star champs instead of 5 and 6. So the rewards are terrible, the defenses are better, and so that's leading people to say, well, let's just focus on Alliance Quest, not Alliance War. Kabam caught on to that, and now they're trying to make Alliance Quest harder because they want to make more money off of you. On top of that, they still have yet to even address one of the biggest concerns in the game, and that's the hackers. So I've been trying to figure out the best form of video for this point, and I think it's this. 2 people reached out to me. They don't know each other. They had the same concern. They were temporarily banned by Kabam. And of course, when Kabam bans you temporarily, they don't tell you what you did wrong. And even though I would like to think, for the majority of people, that the ban was justified, that maybe they were using a bot in the arena or a mod or whatever, so people have sworn to me that they weren't doing anything wrong. They thought maybe it was because they were logging into different accounts on their phone that they ran, but if that was the case, so many people would be banned every day because so many people have multiple accounts. So, point is, these 2 guys came up with a plan to get back at Kabam and just test their system. They started a new account from scratch, and I would not endorse this, and will never endorse this, because I don't think it is worth the effort, and I don't think these people would endorse this either, for the record. But they found some hack that allowed them to one-shot every single fight. I don't care if it was a Labyrinth of Legends fight or a beginner Event Quest difficulty fight. So that is why some of you are sending me pictures now of like rosters with the Labyrinth of Legends Ultron, and their best champ is like 4,800 rated overall, and you're like, how is that possible? Well, they used something to mod their game to knock out any champion with one hit. It's kind of like Super Smash Brothers when their damage goes to like 200 or 300% and you fly off the screen. And so Kabam, of course, did catch on to these accounts as they should. And they were banned, sometimes for like 700 plus hours, which is a long time. But when these people came back, first off, it was not a permanent ban, which shocked me. But second, when they came back, their progress was not reset. Sometimes some of their progress was taken away, but one of the users didn't lose anything. Still got to keep all their champs, still got to keep all their items and their progression. And you would think that this summoner would think, wow, that's amazing. I'm going to start with this account. But no, it was the opposite. They were so mad that in, I don't know, less than a week, they were able to progress in a very unfair basis further than they ever could on their account that they spent so much money and time on for 3 to 4 years that was the final straw. And they said, I'm not going to support this company anymore for not punishing this further. And they left. So I'm telling you that as a cautionary tale of saying that for the majority of the community of people that play fair and that do this game correctly, they are being punished with anti-player decisions that are trying to ramp up Kabam's pocketbook while screw over players that have stayed loyal to this company through so many terrible bugs and PR blunders and just things that the marketing teams of graduate textbooks, I'm sure, could look at as case studies of what not to do for decades to come if they took a microscope under the actions of this company, especially once it was purchased by Netmarble. When I first started playing this game, the game would go down for 5 minutes. A lot of times, I wouldn't even know it was down because by the time I logged in, the problem would be corrected. And there was always an in-game inbox message saying, we are sorry that it was not performing to standards. Here is a small apology and appreciation for the game. It was never something that would break the game, right? It wasn't 10,000 4-star shards back when 4 stars were like 6 stars, but it was like a couple potions, a couple revives, maybe an energy refill, just something. The apology went a long way, and the items told me as a player, like, wow, this company is awesome. It really knows that I have thousands upon thousands of options I could use with my free time, and yet I've chosen Marvel Contest of Champions, and they're so thankful for that. But that has gone away, right? And yes, we've seen some compensation packages, but they're often months late, and they're really out of touch with where the difficulty was. And then it just seems like now, for asking for an event that was so standard before, that it's like asking to give everybody a free 6-star crystal, right? Like the company just can't understand why you would do that. It's almost like they're so out of touch with the culture of what the game used to be that they're just tone deaf. And it is to the detriment of players, several amazing YouTubers who have retired in the past year, and top players as well. And I feel bad for the beginners and intermediate players that don't ever get to understand or see what this game used to be culture-wise, because it was the best of the best, and I would put this culture above any other game I've seen, but it's gone downhill. And if I started playing this game now, I don't know if I'd keep playing, especially if the lag happened on my phone. If I started playing and it happened, I'm like, man, screw this. This is BS. This is not worth my time. So we deserve and we need a Summoner Appreciation Month to be reminded from a company that has often failed the player base that they still care about the people who have stayed so long with this company and with this game. So I hope that you agree. Comment below, let me know your thoughts. And as always, thank you for watching and supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel. Have a great weekend, YouTube.